Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Learn English with Podcast Conversation. I'm Jennifer, and I'm here with my co-host, Thomas. Today's topic is something we can all relate to: stress, specifically everyday stress. We're going to talk about what stress looks like in our daily lives and how we can manage it.
That's right, Jennifer. Stress is such a common part of our lives, whether it's caused by work, family responsibilities, or even small things like being stuck in traffic. But it's important to understand that stress isn't always a bad thing. It's how we deal with it that makes the difference.
Exactly. We can't always avoid stress, but we can learn to manage it better. So let's dive in and talk about some of the common causes of stress and what we can do to minimize its impact on our lives.
And as always, we'll be breaking this down in a way that helps you improve your English listening and speaking skills. Let's get started. So, Jennifer, let's start with what causes stress. For me, one of the biggest stressors is time management. I always feel like there's not enough time in the day to get everything done. What about you?
Oh, I can relate to that. Time management is a huge issue for a lot of people. But for me, I think my main source of stress is balancing work and family. It's tough to find the right balance between being productive at work and spending quality time with loved ones.
Definitely. And then there are those unexpected stressors, like traffic jams or last-minute changes in plans. Even small things can build up over the day and make you feel overwhelmed.
That's true. And sometimes we don't even realize how much these little stressors affect us. It's like a slow buildup until suddenly we're feeling really stressed and don't know why. Let's talk about how we react to stress. Personally, I tend to get really quiet when I'm stressed. I withdraw a little bit because I need time to think things through. What about you, Thomas?
I'm the opposite, actually. When I'm stressed, I tend to talk more. It's like I need to get everything off my chest. I also notice that I become a little more irritable and impatient when things don't go as planned.
Yeah, stress can definitely change our behavior. It can affect our mood, our energy levels, and even our physical health if we're not careful.
That's a good point. Stress isn't just mental. It can have a real impact on your body, too. Things like headaches, muscle tension, and trouble sleeping can all be signs of stress.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to recognize the signs of stress early, so we can take steps to manage it before it gets out of control.
One thing I've noticed is that stress can really affect your productivity. When I'm stressed, it's hard to focus on what I'm doing. I keep thinking about all the other things I need to do.
I feel the same way. Stress can make it difficult to concentrate, and it can make even simple tasks feel overwhelming. But at the same time, a little bit of stress can actually motivate you to get things done.
True. There's definitely a fine line between using stress as motivation and letting it overwhelm you. I think the key is finding ways to stay calm and focused even when you're feeling stressed.
Yes, and that's something we'll be talking about in this episode. Techniques for managing stress so it doesn't interfere with your productivity. So, Thomas, what's your go-to strategy for managing stress?
For me, it's exercise. Whenever I'm feeling stressed, I like to go for a run or hit the gym. It helps me clear my mind and release some of that built-up tension.
Exercise is a great way to relieve stress. I'm a big fan of yoga and meditation. Just taking a few minutes to breathe deeply and relax can make a huge difference in how I feel.
I've heard a lot about the benefits of meditation. I should really give it a try. Another thing that helps me is making a to-do list. When I'm feeling overwhelmed, writing everything down and prioritizing tasks helps me feel more in control.
That's a great tip. I do something similar. I like to break big tasks into smaller, manageable steps. It makes everything feel less overwhelming. One thing we often overlook when it comes to stress management is sleep. When you're stressed, it can be hard to get a good night's sleep, but at the same time, lack of sleep can make stress worse.
Exactly. It's a vicious cycle. When I don't get enough sleep, I'm more likely to feel stressed the next day. I try to make sure I'm getting at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night, even when I'm busy.
That's so important. Sleep is when our bodies and minds recharge. So if we're not getting enough rest, we're not going to be able to handle stress as well.
I find that having a bedtime routine helps me wind down at the end of the day. I turn off my phone, read a book, and try to relax before going to bed.
That's a great idea. I think we should all pay more attention to our sleep habits if we want to manage stress better.
Let's talk about self-care. It's something we hear about a lot these days, but I think a lot of people don't really understand what it means. For me, self-care is about taking time to do things that make me feel good, whether that's exercising, reading, or just spending time with friends.
I agree. Self-care is all about doing things that help you relax and recharge. It's not just about physical health, but mental and emotional health as well. For me, self-care is about setting aside time for myself, even if it's just a few minutes each day.
That's a good point. A lot of people think self-care is selfish, but it's actually the opposite. Taking care of yourself allows you to be more present and effective in other areas of your life.
Exactly. And when you're taking care of yourself, you're better able to handle the stresses that come your way. It's not about avoiding stress, but about being in a better position to deal with it. Another important aspect of managing stress is setting boundaries. I think a lot of people feel stressed because they take on too much or don't know when to say no. What's your experience with that, Thomas?
Oh, definitely. I used to say yes to everything, extra projects at work, social events, favors for friends. But after a while, I realized that I was stretching myself to thin. Now, I'm more careful about what I commit to. Setting boundaries has really helped reduce my stress.
That's great to hear. It's so important to know your limits and to be okay with saying no sometimes. It's not about being rude. It's about protecting your mental and emotional well-being.
Exactly. I've also learned that setting boundaries doesn't just apply to work. It's important in personal relationships, too. Sometimes you need to take a step back and prioritize yourself.
Yes, and when you set clear boundaries, people are more likely to respect your time and energy. It's all about creating balance in your life.
Work is one of the biggest sources of stress for many people. There are deadlines, meetings, and sometimes difficult coworkers. How do you handle stress at work, Jennifer?
It's definitely challenging. For me, staying organized is key. I try to keep a clear schedule, set realistic deadlines, and communicate with my team to avoid any misunderstandings. That helps me manage my workload and reduce stress.
That's a good approach. I also find that taking short breaks during the day helps me stay focused and avoid burnout. Sometimes, just stepping away from my desk for a few minutes makes a big difference.
Absolutely. It's easy to get caught up in work and forget to take breaks. But those small pauses can actually make you more productive in the long run.
I agree. And I think it's also important to have a support system at work, whether that's a coworker you can talk to or a mentor who can give you advice.
Yes, having someone to share your concerns with can really help relieve stress. It reminds you that you're not alone in dealing with challenges. We've talked about sleep and exercise, but what about nutrition? Do you think what we eat affects how stressed we feel?
Absolutely. When I'm stressed, I tend to reach for junk food, but that only makes things worse. I've learned that eating a balanced diet with plenty of fruits, vegetables, and whole grains helps me feel more energetic and less stressed.
That's a great point. Our diet plays a huge role in how we feel, both physically and mentally. Eating healthy foods gives your body the nutrients it needs to handle stress more effectively.
Exactly. I've also noticed that staying hydrated makes a difference. When I'm dehydrated, I feel more tired and irritable, which adds to my stress.
Hydration is key, and let's not forget the importance of avoiding too much caffeine or sugar, which can increase anxiety and make stress worse.
Right. So, a balanced diet isn't just about weight or physical health. It's also about managing stress and keeping your mind clear and focused.
Let's talk about the mental side of stress management. How important do you think positive thinking is when it comes to dealing with stress, Thomas?
I think it's really important. When I focus on the negative, I find myself feeling more stressed and overwhelmed. But when I try to stay positive, it changes my whole mindset. It doesn't make the stress go away, but it helps me deal with it better.
That's true. Positive thinking can shift your perspective and help you approach stressful situations with more confidence. I like to remind myself that challenges are temporary and that I have the ability to get through them.
Exactly. And I think it's also about being kind to yourself. When you're stressed, it's easy to be hard on yourself for not handling things perfectly. But sometimes you just have to do the best you can and remind yourself that it's okay to not be perfect.
Yes, self-compassion is so important. Instead of being critical, try to encourage yourself like you would a friend. It can make a big difference in how you handle stress. Relationships can be both a source of stress and a way to relieve stress. How do you manage stress in your relationships, Thomas?
Communication is key for me. When something's bothering me, I try to talk about it openly with my partner or friends. Keeping things bottled up only makes me more stressed.
That's a great strategy. I also think it's important to listen to others and understand their point of view. Sometimes stress in relationships comes from misunderstandings, so clear communication can really help.
Definitely. And I think it's also important to set boundaries, like we talked about earlier. Even in close relationships, it's okay to take some time for yourself if you're feeling overwhelmed.
Yes, self-care is essential, even in relationships. Taking time to recharge allows you to show up as your best self in your interactions with others.
And when both people in a relationship are managing their own stress, it creates a healthier dynamic overall.
Social media has become a big part of our lives, but I think it can also contribute to stress. Do you find that to be true, Thomas?
Absolutely. It's so easy to compare yourself to others on social media, which can lead to feelings of inadequacy or pressure to keep up. I've found that taking breaks from social media helps reduce my stress.
That's a great strategy. I've also noticed that the constant stream of information can be overwhelming. It's like there's always something happening, and it can feel stressful trying to keep up with everything.
Exactly. I think it's important to curate what you consume on social media. Following positive accounts or ones that inspire you, rather than ones that make you feel anxious, can make a big difference.
Yes, and limiting the amount of time you spend on social media can help, too. It's all about finding a balance that works for you.
Agreed. Social media isn't inherently bad, but we need to be mindful of how it affects our mental health and stress levels.
Let's talk about hobbies. I think having a hobby or activity that you enjoy is a great way to relieve stress. What do you think, Thomas?
Definitely. For me, it's playing the guitar. It's something that helps me relax and unwind after a long day. Having a creative outlet like that makes a big difference in how I manage stress.
That's wonderful. I think hobbies give us a chance to focus on something we love, which can be a great distraction from stress. It's like giving your mind a break from all the worries.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be anything complicated either. Whether it's reading, gardening, or even cooking, just doing something that makes you happy can reduce stress.
Yes, and it can also boost your mood. I know whenever I spend time on my photography, I feel more relaxed and recharged afterward.
It's all about balance. Having something outside of work or daily responsibilities to look forward to can really help keep stress in check.
One thing we haven't talked about yet is laughter. I think laughter is one of the best ways to relieve stress. What do you think, Thomas?
I couldn't agree more. Whenever I'm feeling really stressed, watching a funny show or spending time with friends who make me laugh instantly lightens my mood.
Laughter has that incredible ability to release tension and shift your focus away from whatever is stressing you out. It's like a mental reset.
Yes, and there's actually science behind it. Laughter releases endorphins, which are the body's natural stress relievers. It's amazing how something as simple as a good laugh can make you feel so much better.
That's true. I think it's important to find humor even in tough situations. It doesn't mean you're ignoring your problems, but rather finding a healthy way to cope with them.
Exactly. Sometimes all it takes is a good laugh to put things back into perspective.
Another powerful tool for managing stress is practicing gratitude. Do you find that gratitude helps you handle stress, Thomas?
Absolutely. When I take a moment to think about the things I'm grateful for, it shifts my focus away from the stressors in my life. It reminds me of the positive things that are going well.
That's a great point. I think gratitude helps us realize that even though things might be stressful, there are still good things happening around us. It brings a sense of balance.
Yes, and it doesn't have to be anything big. Sometimes it's just being thankful for a nice cup of coffee or a sunny day. Those small moments of gratitude add up and help reduce stress.
Exactly. I've started keeping a gratitude journal, and it's made a big difference in how I manage stress. Writing down a few things I'm thankful for each day helps me stay positive.
That's a great idea. Gratitude really is a simple but powerful way to manage stress and boost your overall well-being.
We've touched on sleep a little earlier, but let's dive deeper. How do you think sleep quality affects stress, Thomas?
It's huge. When I don't get enough sleep, I feel more irritable, anxious, and less able to handle stressful situations. It's like everything feels harder when you're sleep deprived.
Exactly. Sleep is essential for both physical and mental recovery. Without enough rest, our bodies and minds can't function properly, which makes stress even worse.
Right. I've found that having a regular sleep routine helps. Going to bed and waking up at the same time each day, and making sure my bedroom is a relaxing space, has really improved my sleep quality.
That's a great tip. I've also found that limiting screen time before bed helps me sleep better. The blue light from phones and computers can interfere with sleep, which in turn increases stress. Definitely, a good night's sleep is one of the best defenses against stress, so it's important to prioritize it. Music is another great way to relieve stress. Do you listen to music when you're feeling stressed, Thomas?
All the time, music has a way of calming me down, especially when I listen to something soothing or upbeat. It changes my mood almost instantly.
That's so true. Music can really affect how we feel. I find that listening to relaxing music, like classical or acoustic, helps me unwind after a long day.
I agree, and sometimes, if I'm feeling really stressed, I'll listen to something more energetic, like rock or pop, to help me release some of that pent-up energy.
It's amazing how music can either calm us down or pump us up, depending on what we need. It's such a versatile tool for managing stress.
Exactly. I think everyone should have a go-to playlist for stressful times. It can make a big difference in how you feel.
Setting boundaries is another important aspect of managing stress. Do you think that's something you do well, Thomas?
It's something I've had to learn over time. I used to say yes to everything, and it led to burnout. Now, I'm more mindful of my limits and make sure to set boundaries, both at work and in my personal life.
That's a great point. I think many of us struggle with setting boundaries because we don't want to disappoint others. But saying no when you need to is actually a form of self-care.
Exactly. I've found that setting clear expectations with others helps reduce stress. Whether it's at work or in relationships, being upfront about what you can and can't do makes a big difference.
Yes, and it also teaches others to respect your time and energy. Boundaries are not just about protecting yourself. They're also about creating healthy, balanced relationships.
Agreed. It's all about knowing your limits and being confident enough to enforce them without feeling guilty.
Time management is another key factor in managing stress. How do you approach time management, Thomas?
I try to be very organized with my time. I use a planner to map out my day and prioritize tasks. I've found that when I'm in control of my schedule, I feel less stressed.
That's great. I think planning your day ahead of time helps prevent last-minute rushes, which can be a major source of stress. It also gives you a sense of accomplishment as you check things off your list.
Exactly. And I think it's important to build in time for breaks, too. If you schedule every minute of the day, you're bound to feel overwhelmed. Having time to relax is just as important as getting things done.
I agree. Time management isn't about cramming as much as possible into your day. It's about using your time wisely so you can balance work and rest effectively.
Right. I think good time management is one of the best ways to prevent stress from building up.
Let's talk about self-talk. I think the way we talk to ourselves can have a huge impact on how we handle stress. What's your take on that, Thomas?
Absolutely. I used to be really hard on myself, especially when things didn't go as planned. But I've learned that being kinder to yourself and using positive self-talk can reduce stress and boost your confidence.
That's so true. When you constantly criticize yourself, it adds to your stress. But when you replace negative thoughts with positive affirmations, it changes how you approach challenges.
Yes, and it doesn't mean you ignore your problems. It's about acknowledging them but not letting them define you. I think positive self-talk helps you stay resilient in stressful situations.
Exactly. I try to remind myself that it's okay to make mistakes and that I'm doing my best. It helps me stay calm and focused when things get tough.
It's all about being your own cheerleader. If you don't support yourself, who will?
We've touched on exercise briefly, but I think it deserves more attention. How important is exercise in your stress management routine, Thomas?
It's a big part of it. Whenever I'm feeling overwhelmed, going for a run or hitting the gym really helps clear my mind. Exercise releases endorphins, which make you feel better almost instantly.
I'm the same. I love doing yoga to manage stress. It's not just about the physical benefits. It also helps calm my mind and brings me a sense of peace.
That's a great point. Exercise doesn't have to be intense to be effective. Even a simple walk can help reduce stress and improve your mood.
Yes, and I think the key is consistency. Regular physical activity helps build resilience to stress over time, so it's important to make it a habit.
Exactly. The more active you are, the better equipped you'll be to handle stress when it comes your way.
Relationships can be both a source of stress and a way to relieve it. How do you think your relationships impact your stress levels, Thomas?
That's a great question. I think having strong, supportive relationships can help reduce stress. When you have people to talk to and rely on, it makes dealing with stress much easier.
Yes, having a support system is so important. But I also think that relationships can be a source of stress if there's conflict or misunderstanding. How do you handle that?
I try to communicate openly and honestly. When there's tension, I think it's best to address it right away rather than letting it build up. Clear communication is key to reducing relationship stress.
I agree. And I think it's also important to recognize when a relationship is causing more stress than it's worth. Sometimes setting boundaries or even stepping away from a toxic relationship is the healthiest choice.
Definitely. Surrounding yourself with positive, supportive people can make a world of difference in how you handle stress. One thing we haven't talked about yet is balance. I think finding balance in life is essential for managing stress. What's your take on that, Thomas? I completely agree. Life is all about balance between work and rest, between responsibilities and hobbies. When things are out of balance, stress tends to creep in.
Exactly. I think it's important to prioritize not just work, but also self-care, relationships, and hobbies. When all areas of your life are in harmony, stress is much easier to manage.
That's true. I think it's easy to get caught up in one area of life, especially work, and forget about everything else. But maintaining balance is the key to long-term happiness and stress management.
Yes, and I think it's important to regularly check in with yourself to make sure you're not neglecting any part of your life. Balance takes effort, but it's worth it for your well-being.
Absolutely. Finding balance isn't always easy, but it's essential for a happy, stress-free life.
So, Thomas, after all we've discussed today, what would you say is the most important takeaway when it comes to managing stress?
I think the biggest takeaway is that managing stress requires a combination of strategies. There's no one-size-fits-all solution, but by incorporating things like exercise, positive self-talk, and setting boundaries, you can significantly reduce your stress levels.
I completely agree. I also think it's important to remember that stress is a normal part of life, and it's okay to feel overwhelmed sometimes. The key is having the tools to manage it effectively.
Exactly. Stress will always be there, but it's how you respond to it that makes the difference. And with the right strategies in place, you can handle stress in a healthy, productive way.
Well said, Thomas. I think we've covered a lot of great tips today. Hopefully, our listeners can take away some valuable insights to help them manage their own stress.
I hope so too. Managing stress is a lifelong journey, but with the right mindset and tools, it's something we can all navigate successfully.